The myth that we investigated was based around the question of whether alcohol has an effect on one's core body temperature. Many people believe that the consumption of alcohol has a warming effect on one's body. We have found that this is because one's perception of their core body temperature is skewed by the side effects of alcohol. When intoxicated, it is common for people to sweat and show signs of rosacea. We asked students around campus whether or not they believed in the myth that alcohol makes you warmer and why they believed so.
I believe it does make you feel warmer. Many times I don't wear coats or jackets when I go out in the winter because I don't feel like I need it because I'm pretty warm.
I think it depends on the alcohol. So if I'm having a glass of Chardonnay with a couple ice cubes in it, nope, nice and refreshing. If you have a shot of Fireball, then that does warm you from the inside out. So I think it depends on the alcohol and the time of season.
I actually don't. Like in the winter, some people feel like they don't need to wear frackets out because they're warmer from the alcohol, but I always have a fracket because I'm always really cold.
Yeah, I think it's a myth. I do, yes, because in the winter when we all go out, I don't wear frackets.
A fracket is a slang term used by college students to describe inexpensive jackets they wear to go to frat parties. As the interviews with students around campus show, alcohol has an effect on social life. People are more easily persuaded when intoxicated, thus more likely to participate in potentially risky behavior like going outside without a jacket. Utilizing groupthink, people follow the actions of a larger group, especially when under the influence of alcohol. This myth has been debunked by the medical community as well.
Have you all heard the term beer jacket or alcohol blanket? After a few beers, you start to feel warm and toasty. Well, we're going to find out what's the real deal if alcohol actually does keep you warm. But first, Dr. O, have you ever had a beer jacket?
You're kidding, right? Of course I have. I mean, if you're out, if getting cold, you're at, dating, going back to college days, whether it was tailgating or a frat party, and then beach parties, it cools off.
All kinds of parties.
It's funny how you don't get cold.
The reality here is that this is a false jacket. And so what does happen when you drink? Believe it or not, alcohol is a vasodilator. So you have a few beers, you start to feel really warm, and yeah, you will actually even get a little bit flushed. Why? Those blood vessels expand near your skin surface, which initially makes you feel warm and toasty. But ironically, what that does is that sends that warmth and heat to your skin, which with that vasodilation, you actually start losing warmth to the environment. So internally, your core body temperature actually drops. That's why we always say, if you're out in the cold and you're drinking, it will actually numb you to how cold it is outside because you feel false warmth. But internally, even your thermoregulatory system can get out of whack. That's why you will occasionally see people, if they over imbibe, they can actually die of hypothermia in the winter.
And we see a lot of teenagers and college students who are out playing around in really cold temperatures because they've been drinking beer at a party all night.
Well, you see it at the football game. The guys with their shirts off and the letters written, they're feeling no pain because they have their beer jacket on. No question.
So
that's really dangerous because you think your body's telling you you're warm, but you're saying you're actually losing body.
But overall, look, if it's a cool night and you go inside and you're next to the fire and you have a glass of wine and it makes you feel warm, enjoy that.
But put a coat on if you go outside.
Yeah, if you go outside, don't be fooled about the warmth you're feeling from whether it's beer, wine, or hard spirits.
And in general, don't overindulge.
Yeah, absolutely. Moderation, all things.
Very, very well said, Doc.
As mentioned in the video, our bodies have a unique system for thermoregulation, as we are endothermic homeotherms. This means that we produce our own body heat, and it does not fluctuate as the temperature of our environment changes. Receptors in our skin detect changes in ambient temperature and compares the change to our set point. In humans, this is approximately 98.6 degrees. Then, effectors in our hypothalamus direct our muscles and glands to return our bodies to their set point temperature by shivering or sweating. In a study that monitored the core body temperature of 9 healthy men over a 26-hour period, they determined the effects of alcohol consumption on body temperature. The results of the study showed that temperature was significantly lower after alcohol was first introduced to the body. However, As alcohol was consumed over a longer period of time, body temperature increased. 7 out of 9 participants experienced this hyperthermic effect at night. The perception of warmth that is often reported after consuming alcohol is due to a variety of causes. Often, the consumption of alcohol is accompanied by higher levels of activity and thus increased heart rate, which can cause thermoregulators to induce sweating or shaking depending on environmental temperature. Furthermore, when alcohol enters your bloodstream, it causes blood vessels to expand and dilate closer to the surface of your skin. Although this produces an initial hyperthermic effect, due to the proximity of the veins to the environment, heat loss is increased and body temperature decreases. Here is another explanation.
You may have seen pictures of St. Bernards carrying little kegs of brandy around their necks to keep stranded hikers from freezing to death. But does alcohol really keep you warm? Not only is the answer here a definite no, but in fact the opposite is true. While alcohol may make you feel warm, it actually makes you colder. Alcohol causes your blood vessels to expand in a process called vasodilation. This allows your blood to rush to the surface of your skin where most of your nerve endings are. Since your blood is all warm and toasty, a flood of blood into the dilated capillaries means that you feel a rush of heat. But that heat is coming from your own body's core temperature, so when your blood rushes to your skin, which is in contact with the colder air, that heat rapidly dissipates and causes your body temperature to drop. That's why your capillaries were actually constricted in the first place, to stop your blood from rushing to the surface. That's one of your body's only ways of protecting you from the cold and stopping you from freezing to death. And here's another reason you might want to reconsider taking a swig from your flask when you're out on the chairlift or whatever. If you've wondered about the burning sensation you feel in your mouth and throat when you partake, it's because the alcohol tinkers with the nerve receptors that you use to detect heat. When these receptors, which are heat-activated proteins called TRPV1, come into contact with alcohol, their threshold for detecting warmth actually drops from 42 degrees Celsius to 34 degrees, lower than your body temperature. So the burn that you feel when you drink is actually just you. You feel like you're getting scalded, but what's really happening is that your nerve cells have suddenly just become extra sensitive to your own body heat, just when you thought alcohol couldn't get any more interesting. But long story short, if you're trying to stay warm when it's cold out, skip the brandy and the schnapps and go straight for the hot chocolate. Thanks for asking, and thanks especially to all of our subscribers on Subbable. If you have a quick question you'd like us to answer, let us know. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and as always in the comments below. If you want to keep getting smarter with us, just go to youtube.com/scishow and subscribe.
Another study measured the effects of alcohol consumption on rats' heart rate and body temperature over time. For a short period after alcohol consumption, the core body temperature fell significantly, yet there was an increase in the perception of warmth. This shows that the relationship between thermal comfort and core body temperature is distorted. These studies, along with other research, suggest that immediately after consumption, alcohol does cause a significant decrease in one's core body temperature. However, if intake is repeated multiple times over the course of 24 hours, humans experience a hyperthermic effect on their body temperature, especially during the night. The effects of alcohol on one's core body temperature is time-dependent and therefore has the opposite thermal response after a longer period of time. In conclusion, we found that there is most definitely a correlation between initial alcohol intake and decreased body temperature, but extended consumption causes an inverse effect.